So just want to take this opportunity to do a little bit of introduction. Lucy, how many years ago did I first meet you?
Oh, Sean, must be 11
11
now.
years ago.
Yeah,
And what status did you have in the company that I came and did some training with when I first met you?
I just got to team leader. Yay, because you ran the leader meetings. It's in a different company. But
Yeah, so I was doing
Sean
some
came
consult.
over.
Pardon?
You came over to run our team leader meetings, and I met you then when I'd recruited my first 4, and it'd taken me like 9 months to recruit 4.
Yeah. And what I remember of that first evening was somebody who was as sharp as a bed of nails, as a brand new team leader, a skin full of enthusiasm and desire to learn. So I'm hoping that that picture that I've just painted of the first Lucy Beckford I met 11 years ago is where you're all at now. Feeling sharp as a bed of nails and ready to learn and full of enthusiasm because you're in for a treat.
Oh,
Lucy, for the last 11 years, has balanced me out because I am not, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 when it comes to being organised. And Lucy puts the detail and the structure, has done for 11 years in lots of ways, behind my 11-year-old Neil Shard Remedies business.
shall I make you
Like,
confess?
in a minute, I just need to finish because I'm feeling
Okay.
slightly emotional here. Because I am so grateful for the skill set that she's got. And I'm sure she's going to bring strengths to you now, which I've benefited from over the last 11 years. And it's a top tip to make sure that as you grow in this business, have somebody who balances your skill set, like Lucy has done for me. She is my most senior leader. She has had many years of experience with Neil Shard Remedies, and it continues to be a privilege to work with her. So, Lucy, over to you, following that little accolade, while I just deal with the emotion of the moment. What were you going to say?
I was going to make you confess.
Oh, no. This is about you recruiting, isn't it?
No. This is about me having to call you on Monday to say, am I still doing this training on Wednesday?
You see, I asked her weeks ago. I knew she'd still have it in her diary. It wasn't a problem. And of
No, it
course, in
wasn't.
true Lucy style, she'd assumed she was still doing it and had planned it. So it wasn't
I'd
an
written
issue.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
I don't know.
That is a
Right.
perfect example, isn't it, of lack of organisation.
Yeah.
So
But
on that note,
Sean always has the right words to say, and I never have the right words to say. So we do balance each other out perfectly. So that's all good. It's all good. Okay, well, I'm rather embarrassed about all that because I'm not that organised. It's just that I guess to get through in this life, I've worked out various coping strategies, and that's what I do. So yeah, I do have. Sometimes it's a bit anal, but yeah, you'll see because I'm going to go through it a little bit. But should I share my screen now, Sian?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's see if this works. Yay! Yay! Does that work?
It does.
Yay!
Oh, look, there's my desk.
Well, I did find a lady with a blue jacket on, so I thought that was quite good. So, right. Cool. So, getting organised. Let's just do a little bit of visualisation first. So, I would like you to imagine your house is on fire. And how long would it take you to dial 999? Just think it through. How long would it take you to dial 999? That's a fairly easy one, I think. Okay, pretty dramatic. So let's try another one. If your boiler started to make some strange noises today, it's the middle of summer, it's quite warm still, when would you call an engineer out to take a look at it? I know I wouldn't do it straight away. Okay, maybe not so dramatic again. Imagine one of your cooker rings isn't working properly. When would you call out the engineer to come and sort it out? Or would you just keep managing on 3 instead of 4? So I best guess all this comes down to how important is something to you. You know, we would dial 999 pretty immediately if our house was on fire. But the faulty heating or the oven ring, would we really do that straight away? Would you? I wouldn't. Would you? Hands up if you would. No, I don't see many hands. So you would probably do it when it bugged you enough. But think about it. What if the weather suddenly became cold? I actually woke up cold last night. Couldn't believe it. I'd thrown the duvet off in all the hot weather, hadn't put the duvet back on, and I woke up cold last night, and that was really frustrating. But it was easy to drag a duvet on. What if your heating had actually broken and you hadn't got around to fixing it, and it was that cold night and you really wanted it? Would that make you annoyed? Or perhaps you had some surprise visitors, maybe not at the moment in current coronavirus times, but you were cooking dinner for everybody and you could have really done with 4 rings instead of 3, and you felt really narked with yourself because you hadn't got round to getting somebody to come and fix it for you. So I guess it's a question of being organised, is having what you need available when you need it, and not scrabbling around trying to make do with the situation that you're in. And we've talked about 3 household situations. The same applies to Neil's yard business. So what I've got today is 10 top tips about becoming more organised and in control of your life, and not letting everything else control you. I think it's about being in control. So, did this work? Why won't that work? Right. Oh, I forgot to click the slides. There you go. Being organised is having what you have. See, I wasn't that organised, was I? Forgot to click the slides on. Right, so next one. You've got to basically sort out your priorities. And I think during some of this, it might be a little bit of tough love that I'm giving you, because I'm not giving anything rocket science. I think you might just be kicking yourselves a little bit thinking, yeah, okay, you've got a point there. Maybe I need to think about it. But you've really got to sort out your priorities. We will do what's important to us. We will find time and a way to do what really matters. Therefore, you've got to decide what matters to yourself, because you will make sure that you get that done. So focus in on Neil's yard. Everybody's different, and you really need to work out how much does Neil's yard matter to you, and what part of Neil's yard matters to you. So when I joined, I needed something to do when my boys were at school. I was rattling around a house. I had to give up work. I won't go into too much details, but basically I was bored out of my brains and needed something to do. Therefore, when I joined Neil's Yard with Sean, I just got stuck in and worked all the hours during the day because I needed to do something, and I needed to do something constructive. Sean won't mind me saying that when she joined Neil's Yard, her life was, well, falling to pieces, and she needed to earn money very, very quickly. Therefore, she got on and started recruiting loads and loads of people very, very quickly, because that's what she needed to do. She needed to earn money. So I guess you've got to find out what is your why. And we've talked about this in many other trainings. What is your why with Neil's Yard Remedies? And then that boils down to what's important to you. So if you need to drill that down even further, maybe think about what do you want to do or achieve by the end of the year. So for Christmas, is it having £3,000 in profit to be able to spend for Christmas? Or is it achieve an incentive or make a promotion? What is it that you personally want to achieve that's really important to you? Okay, and maybe just write that down. Okay, so
I love the fact that some people are sharing theirs in the chat, Lucy.
Oh, are they? I haven't got chat on because I can't see
fine,
everything.
but I was just wanting to encourage other people while you're listening to Lucy, and as she gives you time to reflect on this stuff, if it helps you to say it out loud to other people, you know, put it out there, because it kind of makes it real, doesn't it?
It does, and we will come on to that. Okay, so number 1, sort out your priorities, what's important to you. Number 2, carve out enough focused time, particularly to meet that goal. So if it was you want to earn £3,000 before Christmas, you probably aren't going to do it on a couple of hours a week. Okay, a couple of hours a week is fine, but make sure that you set yourself realistic expectations. You're not going to earn £3,000 on a couple of hours a week. But if you've got 2 nights a week, maybe that's 2 parties a week. Maybe that's sufficient to be able to find a recruit a month, or you know, achieve an incentive or something like that. But what you need to do is to carve out that time for you to be able to meet the goal that's important to you. And it doesn't have to be regular times. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to do an hour on a Monday morning and a party on a Friday night. So long as the amount of time that you set yourself is regular in a week, that's fine. It doesn't matter when it is. We are a flexible company. So it's about finding that time for you. And there is a time finder sheet. I don't know if you've seen that in downloads. It's called Time Finder Sheet, believe it or not. So you can always search for it. But that just helps you break down the day and work out where your free time is to be able to slot in an hour here and an hour there if necessary. And just to make the point, there are not many people who do this full time. I don't do it full time. Sean doesn't do it full time. We're all juggling lots and lots of things. So we all have to do this exercise of finding out where our time is. And it might be that you need to make an appointment with yourself, okay, where you're going to commit to that time. You're going to carve that out. That's your precious Neil's Yard time, and you're not going to have any interruptions. Just imagine if you were going and booked yourself a massage. Wouldn't that be wonderful? A nice hour's time out for yourself. You'd turn your phone off and you'd shut the door and you'd just wallow in your massage. Think about your Neil's Yard time like that. So you're not going to do the dishes halfway through. You hopefully are going to either, if you're doing calls, obviously have your phone on, but if you're not doing calls and you're doing something else, switch your phone off. Your phone doesn't have to be on all the time. Just try and have a dedicated time for your Neil's Yard so you can work smart and not hard. Now, has anybody seen this chart? Probably not. But this is the difference between urgent and important. So can you imagine that something that's really important needs to be get done because it's the difference between success and failure, and urgent is somebody banging on your door trying to get your attention. So obviously, if something's really important to you and it's really urgent, then you've got to get it done. So that might be an issue that's cropped up with a customer, or you know, you've got a sparkle calling saying, yeah, I'd like to join. Yes. So you would deal with that pretty quickly and swiftly. So you get those done out of the way. Now, the other important jobs where you're planning and strategizing and getting prepared and ready for the rest of it is where you want to spend your time. It's not urgent, but it's important to you to achieve your goals. So that's where you would put most of your effort, if at all possible, once you've done number ones. Now, phone calling, so when your phone goes or a notification goes, that gives a sense of urgency, but it's unlikely to be important. So have a quick look maybe, or have a look at the end of your hour if you're doing an hour's dedicated time. Try and avoid being interrupted by those blips and things like that. It's not a useful use of your time to get distracted from what you're focused on. So avoid those interruptions. And then we all do it. We all troll through Facebook. We all troll through our news feed. We all have a flick and see what's on the telly tonight, with all that side of it. You need to avoid and just not go there at all. All those trivial time wasters, they're not important and they're not urgent and they just sap your energy. So just don't, basically. Does that make any sense with those four? So get number one done, focus on two, try and avoid three, and ignore four. Okay? So be prepared. Who's prepared? So have we all got a demo kit sorted, ready to go? So if somebody rang up and said, can you do a party now? You can go. Maybe not just at the moment, but, you know, give it a thought. Have you got catalogues already labelled, ready to go? Somebody says, oh, could I have a catalogue? Yes, here you go. Samples, business cards, diary, folders, stamps, stationery, you know, it just goes on and on and on. So one thing I had to do today was somebody said, oh, can I join your, I'm doing a social on Sunday. And one of my guests basically said, oh, can my sister come on? And it's like, yeah, of course. But I have to put the samples in the post ready for Sunday. So there's only a couple of days left. I had a bag of samples already sorted out. I'd already printed off my instruction sheet. All I had to do was gather the little bits, shove it in an envelope and catch the post just in time in order to get the samples there. Because it was already, I wasn't scrabbling around. It was just like, all right, get it all together. So are you as organised as to be able to just do that? If your goal is recruiting, have you got info packs already made up, ready just to give out? Or to put a stamp on and just send it out? Are you carrying one in your bag? You know, is a couple in your demo kit already there waiting for you just to be able to hand out? So, you know, it's all about having it all ready and prepared. And the same with maybe if you're aiming for £3,000, have you updated your frank list? Have you identified who you're going to ask as potential hosts for September in the launch or towards Christmas? Have you got a call list sorted out? Have you sent in your booking incentive form? Because you need those 5 parties in September in order to get the sales coming in. Because your September parties will lead to your October ones, your November ones, your December ones. So, you know, have you got yourself organised to do that? So, and obviously, if there's an incentive there, you might as well get the prize, because that could well be something for your demo kit for the parties that you're going to be doing. So, we don't do incentives, by the way, just for the fun of it, do we, Sian?
No.
No, there's always a purpose and a plan. We do actually work together on this. So, you know, if we've laid out an incentive, it's usually with a purpose that's going to help you to grow your business for the foreseeable. So do make the most of them, because we're very happy to give out these rewards, but we also like to see the activity going on, because it's there for a reason.
What I'm smiling about, Lucy, is I'm wondering how many people have written down on their piece of paper, find out about the incentive.
Yeah, have a look on Facebook, on the groups. And that's another thing. What I've noticed is that the information that we put out in the groups is not hitting news feeds very often these days. You actively have to go into the groups and see what's been posted recently, because Facebook isn't helping out and letting you know when we've ever posted stuff. So it might be that you need to go and visit either Sian's page or my page or whoever's page just to catch up with what the latest is, because we're posting almost every day. So if you're not aware of the new news, go and have a look. Okay, so you've got everything sorted and to hand. So use the tools that suit you. We are not all computer literate. Some of us prefer the old-fashioned pen and paper. I do. I love my little books and my books. I'm not a visual person. Visual people quite often like to use their phone or the computer or a device. I'm more learn as I do. Therefore, I need to write things down, and that helps me to memorize things. So it's about using whatever tool you get on with. It could be that you buy a calendar at the beginning of every year but never use it. Well, why do you buy a calendar? You know, if you're going to use a diary or a phone instead, don't go to the trouble of buying a calendar. It could be that you need a bigger screen to look at things. So in which case a big page diary, so a page a day a diary might be the thing that you want. I prefer to see a week to a view, so I know what's coming up. So that's the way I focus. It might be that you need to experiment and just have a look and see what works for you. That's fine. But when you find what works for you, stick with it, because you'll get into a routine and a habit, and it'll just flow more easily. Try colour coding. Oh, there's all the dearies. Keep forgetting to click these things. Colour coding really helps pull things out, to pull it out of the page. So it might be that you colour code personal life versus work life versus family life, or you could use these cues. I'm a colour therapist, hey! So those colours and words actually tie together. So it could be that if you're doing all your social activity, you do it in orange. Anything to do with the family is green. Yoga sessions could be in violet, for example, or a meditation in violet. Anything that's really outstanding and needs to be done, it's an A1 star job on your to-do list, is a red. So just colour code it. It makes it a little bit more fun and a bit more interesting and inspirational to actually get on with it. Okay, that then leads on to write everything down. And I mean, everything. We lead such busy lives, as I was saying before, that we're all juggling balls in the air, every one of us, and it's inevitable that we're going to forget something. But if you write it all down in one place, you will basically, you've got more chance of actually remembering. So whether it's in the diary or the calendar on the phone, doesn't matter. But meetings, sales activities, follow-up calls, days off, birthdays, vet appointments, kids activities, term dates, date nights, just everything. Doesn't matter if you end up crossing stuff off because things move, they do. This diary is not a work of art, it's a working piece of document, and you basically make it work for you. If you use electronic calendars, they're great because that you can set reminders and you remember to set the reminders for everything, and then you won't forget. I make, I always say, oh, don't worry, I'll remember that. But I've got a brain like a sieve these days. And if I don't write it down, I don't remember it. So I write lists for everything. So write it down. So set notifications, your to-do list, make lists, lots of lists, at least every week a to-do list, and if not, every day. So maybe in your first 5 minutes of your day, you sit down and think, what is it I really have to achieve today? And then do it. But you can use different subheadings. So if it's a, to do underneath a work, or to do underneath personal life, or to do, I don't know, with the sparkle, or whatever it is, have subcategories, but just write everything down. And then eat the frog. Have we all heard of eating the frog?
No.
If you eat, if you eat the frog first thing in the morning, the first task that you do, it means that the rest of the day is going to be fine, because the frog is the most horrible job and task you are going to do on your list. It's the one that you've been putting off forever. It's the one that you think, oh, really? But yes, if you get it done, it means that you've done the worst for the day, and everything else will be so much better after it. And if you don't do the frog, guess what? He's going to sit on your shoulder and crib it in your ear until and nag you, saying, you haven't done it yet, you haven't done it yet, I'm still here, and it's going to drag you down. So honestly, we all hate it, and frogs taste nasty, but when you get it done, you can reward yourself and feel so much better, and the rest of the day is on a positive note. So we really do suggest you eat that frog.
Lucy, can I just interrupt you there?
Yes.
We had a funny moment in our house. I think my children have been brainwashed, because there is actually a book called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, which is all about procrastination. And when I first started in direct selling, this book made a big difference to me because of what Lucy's just said. And I had a frog sitting on my shelf who reminded me to eat the frog. And the other day, one of the kids gave it to Maisie, my dog, and said, look, Mum, Maisie is actually eating the frog. And as you can see, the frog only has one eye now because Maisie is busy eating the frog. So even my dog has to eat the frog. It works.
That's hilarious. Really is. And another good top tip with to-do lists is if you have to write, make a list at the top of your list so that you can then cross it off when you've finished your list, so that you've done something and reward yourself. That's fine. We all do that. Have the chocky bickies stacked up ready for when you've achieved something and ticked off the list, because there's nothing more satisfying than crossing something off the list. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, just find a way to write everything down, and so that you can be reminded of what's coming up and what you've got to do. Okay, poor Maisie, you might want to make sure that she doesn't actually swallow that eye, because it will stick in her stomach.
Yeah, it did occur to me.
Oh well, don't want to know where that's going. Okay, this is my desk, and you know what? I didn't have to tidy it that much to actually make it look like that either. I was actually quite impressed. It only took 2 minutes. Tidy desk, tidy mind. Very few people are immaculate enough to keep the whole house tidy all the time. Stuff just accumulates. It really does. But do try to keep desk tidy, at least with organised piles. I could actually turn it around. So can you, does it work? Yeah, there's my organised piles. I've got trays And there's a whole load of rubbish in each of those trays, but I know roughly what they are. So the top one is stuff to do that's active, and the next one down is like interesting stuff that I've picked up that I think, oh, I must read through that at some point. And the bottom is like paper, stickers, forms, sparkle trackers, all sorts of paper stationery that I use, but it's organized piles of stuff, but it is at least tidy. And it also means that when I want something, I don't have to rummage through everything to find it, because I know roughly which pile it's in. And it increases your productivity, and it reduces the sheer frustration when you can't find that bit of paper that you know is there, that you really need, and you don't know where it is. But I know roughly what pile to go to be able to find it. My tip as well is to invest in storage. Lots of storage, boxes, shelves, cupboards, just anywhere where you can store the crap, because we have so much of it, whether it's old display material. So I've got a summer set and a winter set, like clothes really. You know, you get rid of your winter clothes out of your wardrobe and go and put them in a suitcase or under the bed or something, so you've got space for summer stuff, so you don't have to keep rummaging through everything. It's exactly the same sort of thing. So everything's got its little place, and it just stays there until I need it. I've got Christmas tinsel. You probably can't see it, but in the bottom right hand corner of the bottom right hand picture, there's tinsel and a Christmas hat. I can see it, a red Christmas hat stuffed in there. I doubt if I'll get to use it this year, because Christmas fairs probably aren't going to be around, but I've got it there ready for Christmas next time I can do a display. It might be that you want to treat yourself to some delicious organisational stationery, as Sian calls it. Yeah, so a nice little book. Do what you love. Nice stationery. A great excuse to go out in and trawl through the W.H. Smith's or Paper Chase or somewhere like that. I have box files. Apparently Sian has gorgeous boxes to put stuff in. Colourful folders, blue staples, pink paper drift. You get my drift. Make it fun and nice. Oh, you can see my box files. I've just seen them on the screen. So yeah, I've got rainbow coloured drawers as well. Just, you know, because I know what colours goes with which, so I just put everything in the right colour drawer. What you do need is a lockable drawer for GDPR, which we will come on to. But one thing you should have, if you've got paper documentation with customer details on, you do need a lockable drawer. So as you can see, I've got a lockable drawer. Oh, hey. So that's your desk. You also need to do your electronic files too. I'm sorry, it's a real pain, but it makes it so much easier to find stuff. So I picked this up, this little picture, which basically gives you tips on how to organize your digital files. You basically need a clear hierarchy. So that's an example of my hierarchy. It's all dated. I know where everything is within all of that. And if it just saves you so much time when you're having to find stuff. And then declutter, have a digital clear out, a digital detox sometimes. Even if it's just a few minutes when you're waiting for somebody, or you know, you've got a little bit of time to kill, go through your photos on your phone, go through your computer files, Facebook friends, get rid of the people that don't make you feel good about yourself. You know, just delete what you don't need, because then when you are looking for stuff, you don't have to plow through everything, because you've kind of got an idea of where it is. So all I did was to Google, what was that? Digital, yeah, digital detox, I think it was, that came under, and it just came up. But it gives you so many ideas, things like unsubscribe from this, and just hit delete. And then when you've done that, don't forget to empty your trash basket on your desktop as well, because that's another place where it stores up. And if you get rid of all these files, then your computer works quicker, because it doesn't have to plow through all the stuff as well. So, you know, it all does save you time in the end. One word on unsubscribing. Remember not to unsubscribe anything from Sean or me or Neil's Yard. We really do want you to read those emails. We don't send those out for our fund either, do we, Sean? But all those other ones that you see that come in and you think, oh, really, have I got this again? Just unsubscribe. They should have an unsubscribe button at the bottom. And remember to back your phone or your computer up regularly. I know the pain of losing 3 years' work, photos and emails when my last laptop fatally crashed one time. And it was just before I did a training session as well. I was not happy. I lost the lot. And it was a real headache trying to get it all back. And well, I didn't in the end. So I now have this, very similar to this, a portable backup drive that just plugs into the USB, and I simply just copy and drag the files across to it by block. So I do all of images, all of documents, all of downloads, just drag it straight across on a monthly basis, and it just resaves everything that's new. It's brilliant. And that way I know that if it does crash and I lose everything, I've only lost up to a month's worth of stuff, because you really don't want to go through that pain. The alternative, I think, is a cloud account. You can save everything to the cloud, but again, I don't trust that. I want a physical thing where my files are. So if you're happy with the cloud, that's fine as well. So I hope you've all written that down now. This is the meaty one. Keep accurate, up-to-date records. Now, I've managed to distill this into just 3 key sets of records you must keep, 2 by law. And what the really frustrating thing is that I'm not a tax expert, and I'm not a GDPR expert, and I'm not trained, therefore I can't tell you what to do. Almost by law, we are all self-employed individuals who are responsible for knowing about the legislation that affects our business by going and looking it up ourselves. However, I'm going to give you a very top line overview and perspective from what I do, just to give you some ideas, because the tax situation and the GDPR situation are very important, but it is for you to go and find it out. So, tax. Basically, it's income and expenses. What comes in, what goes out. Now, at the time, Sean, I'm saying it, at the time of this recording, we must register as a sole trader with HMRC by October 5th in the 2nd year of trading if earned over £1,000 profit in the previous tax year. And I've got that from the tax people. So if you're earning less than £1,000 profit, you don't have to set yourself up as a sole trader and therefore do self-assessment tax forms. And to be honest, that's a large proportion of consultants. However, it is your responsibility to keep track of your income to know when you've gone over that. And to give you some rough guidelines, and this is only rough guidelines, Sean, I'm not saying yes or no, because Sean was saying, oh, you want to be really, really careful about saying this. If you are roughly ordering 200 pp for customers and making a profit on that, you want to be tracking your income, because you're roughly going to get to that £1,000 profit. Okay, so roughly 200 pp a month regularly, all for sales with customers. Keep an eye on it and find out more by going to the gov.uk website.
Can I just add something, Lucy, before you go on? I think that's so helpful, and I think what that does is break it down before you get to the point where you should have done something earlier. You know, actually keep track of it so you're in charge of the steering wheel, you're driving it, rather than worrying later whether it's now a bit late. And the other thing to say is, this isn't anything to worry about, because the government actually really, the tax office, want to support people to get it right. So their information pack for helping you get going and doing this properly is really supportive.
Yeah.
They don't want you sorting out trouble afterwards. So it's much easier just to get it right from the beginning.
It is. And there's a whole series of free webinars that they do. In fact, I've actually signed up for one next week to do with digital tax. You probably know about this, but I don't. So I'm going to go and find out. And their actual websites are quite helpful, I have to say. They didn't used to be. They used to be an absolute nightmare, and you were trying to work out what on earth they meant by what they said, because it was all gobbledygook. But actually they've simplified it a whole load, and it's really quite explanatory now. So, you know, if you've got any questions or any thoughts, go and have a look at the Working for Yourself website and go from there, because all the information that you need is there. But good working practice is keep an income track, and also just keep everything, all your receipts, invoice and evidence, just keep it. I basically have a folder with all my customer records in. I have a notebook somewhere, she said.
When you say your customer records, what is that? Is that the white invoices or what?
A white piece of paper. When you fill out a customer order sheet, because by law we should be giving out an order sheet with everybody, shouldn't we?
So it's these ones, guys. For those of you who are brand new, the set that you get in your kit, these order forms, yeah.
So I just keep them all. My copy of it, the white copy, I keep it all. I have a record book for fairs and events. So I'm not that good at a fair and event, I have to say, unless it's an electrical good or a significant, like over £50, I don't tend to give them an order form. Don't say anybody, but I record all my sales in my book. So that's my record of fairs and events. And that's basically your income. And expenses, it's really easy. I have another folder with pockets, and I keep all my receipts in by month. So that would be April, May, June, and everything, like all my nail yard invoices and stationery that I've bought, ink that I've bought, even my phone. I do my phone, so I take 75% of my phone bill, and I keep my phone records in there. Just receipts. And even if you're not doing self-assessment now, it gets into good practice to just keep a record of what you've spent basically on your things like display stuff and everything like that. So yeah, and that's as simple as it is.
Just to answer Hazel's question in the chat, in case you guys haven't seen it, when people order direct from your website and have it delivered direct to them, you will get a notification in an email. So all you need to do is move those notifications into a file or a folder on your email, or a folder on your computer, store it how you want, because that's your record of somebody purchasing from you. It's basically an electronic equivalent of our order forms that you get in your kit.
And if you can't find those, you can go onto the consultant website and print off the records from the what do they call it, replicated website, or previous. It's the bottom one underneath orders. So and the other way you can get
previous
it is
orders.
if you're going to get a commission statement from head office on the 10th of the following month outlining the commission that they have paid you, that's what I keep for web commission. I don't keep the individual ones, but you can do. Okay, so yes, web commission is another source of income. So money coming in, money spending out in order to get that money coming in, and that's all the taxman wants, and mileage, and that's it. But it's really that straightforward. And I've been doing this for years and years and years, and people get into all sorts of knots about, how do I tally this? You know, I've got this invoice with these sales. Just don't. They just want two numbers from you. In your tax year, how much did you earn and how much did you spend? And that's it.
Yeah, and just to expand that, Lucy, Cindy has put a comment in the chat I just wanted to pick up. Cindy, you don't need to do the detail of each individual party order. It's over the tax year. How much have I earned? Take away how much have I spent is my profit.
And the taxman work out the profit. You don't need to work that out. You just need those two numbers. How much did I earn? How much have I spent in order to earn that? And that's it. Don't get yourself tied up in knots. Okay? Any more comments there, Sean?
No, not at the moment. Oh, hang on, there's another one just come in. Yeah, that's just a thanks. That's great. I'll keep you posted as we go.
Okay, that's the easy one.
I can't wait to get to GDPR.
GDPR. We love GDPR.
No,
Okay.
we don't, Lucy. You love GDPR. We don't love GDPR.
Yeah, well, it's straightforward, really, once you do it. But basically, again, like for tax, it's your responsibility to inform yourself about GDPR and how it impacts you and your business. And that website is the place to start with. There's all sorts of, it also takes you to all sorts of different places, but that is the starting point. ICO is the Information Commissioner's Office, and they're the people who govern GDPR. GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation, I think, something like that, but it's data protection. So as part of our growing business, we may want to create things like a customer database on a computer, or build an email distribution list on MailChimp or IMN, or a group on our email provider. You might want to log a Sparkle's phone number in a phone, or create a WhatsApp group for party guests. If you do any of this, then you have to comply with GDPR, which means that customers, hosts, Sparkles are all in control of their personal data, everything that we have about them, such as their name, address, email, phone number, anything that would identify them as that person. So I came across this, which is quite a handy little summary of GDPR, really. The individual must be informed that you have their data. They must consent to you having that data, and they, which is all, that's 1 in 6. And then they must consent to you contacting them for a specific purpose, and that is point 2 and 3. So that specific purpose could be things like they want to know about when we've got sales on, or they might want joining information, or they might want to be on your regular monthly newsletter. But it's a specific purpose. And just because we have their data because they want to know about sales, unless they've said they want joining information, you can't send them joining information because they don't want it. And if you do, then you're actually doing something against GDPR. So it's all about contacting them the way they want to be contacted, for the information that they want to be contacted, and that's it. If you have a therapy business, you shouldn't, unless you've asked them beforehand, then try and sell them nails yard stuff. Unless you've set it up right up front, you've got consent for them to do therapy and nails yard. If you were to leave nails yard, then technically you should delete all their information. Except that's when number 5 kicks in, when personal information must not be kept longer than is necessary, because HMRC, for the tax purposes, want you to keep it for 7 years. And I believe there are some situations with therapists where also for their insurance, they need to keep patient information or client information for 7 years. So that then overrides that. But if you were not declaring anything for tax purposes, you should then delete all your information about somebody who wants nails yard information if you should leave the company. And then if you were to go to a different company, you can't transfer the customers over to them, because they were specifically saying they want nails yard information. They don't want Tropic or Arbonne or any of those horrible companies that are out there. You can't transfer them across. So number 7, you have to hold their data securely. So that means any spreadsheet on the computer should be password protected. If it's on your phone, it should be password protected or biometric protected. This is where the locked drawer comes in, so that your the customer's data, if you've collected it on a piece of paper, needs to be locked away safely, and you'll not share that information with anybody else, which is why we say you blind copy on emails. You never, ever, ever copy people or send it to loads and loads of people, because as soon as you share somebody's email address with somebody else, you've then, again, gone against GDPR, and that's a breach, and you need to report that to ICO. Okay, so that's basically what it is. The number 8 doesn't really apply to us, although IMN does sit in America, and I think they sorted that out. But IMN, I got very upset with them when this all kicked in May 2018, and they were very slow in bringing all this up to speed, and I lost thousands of contacts because I could no longer contact them because we'd gone past the deadline. So I left IMN and thought, I'll do it myself then. So I have with MailChimp. So you might be thinking, oh my gosh, how do I do any of that?
Lucy, before you go on, can you just go back one and show the ICO website again, please? There we go, for those that needed it.
The other thing you should have that they will say is that you should have a policy document outlining the steps that you are taking to comply with GDPR. That's the other thing.
Can we just copy and paste the image you're now going to put up?
Well,
as our policy.
This isn't the policy.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to see my policy. It's like 8 pages long.
No, we're not going to get into the weeds of that now.
No. This is quite important though. This was when I used to do fairs and events, and you can tailor it. You can take it to parties as well, and you can send it out. It is it's on my Facebook page, the Be Lovely's Facebook page, as a file. I'm pretty sure, Charlotte, I posted it on your as a file. I didn't check, sorry, I should have done. But I'm pretty sure it's there. In which case you can just save it and change it, because obviously this is tailored to me. You'd have to put your own details on there. So at the top, it's me. And then I say why I want to collect their information. And then the customer or the contact needs to give me the information that they want to, and they don't have to fill it all out. Quite often they just give a name and an email, or a name and a phone number. Very few people give an address, and that's fine. They don't want to give it, that's fine. Then they tick why they want to be contacted, or no, in which case what's the point of filling out the ruddy form? It's just like, what? Anyway, so you're assuming they're going to tick yes and the reasons why, and then they have to sign it. If they don't sign it and you haven't noticed, unless you're going to pin them down again, it's irrelevant. They haven't given you approval. So they have to sign it and date it. And then I say, how do you want me to contact you? So I have email, text, phone and post. You might want to add Messenger or WhatsApp or something on there now. But so they're basically saying, I want to be contacted by email, and I've given you my email address. If they say, I want to be contacted by phone, and have only given you an email address, again, it is rubbish. Unless you actually looked through it and checked it, and they've done that, if they haven't given you a phone number and they want to be contacted by phone, there's nothing you can do. It might as well go in the bin. Shredded, of course. Okay, and then underneath is the blurb about keeping it securely on my computer at home or my phone, unless otherwise, and they've got the option to say no, and that I'm not disclose it to any third persons, and if they want to be removed, they need to contact me. Okay, so it's giving them all the options. They are in total control of this data. Okay,
we've got a nice juicy question from Harriet, Lucy.
Yep.
How do you suggest using this form currently when we're doing online or Zoom events?
Very good question, and I saw that come up on an ICO question actually, which basically said gathering customer consent at the moment is really difficult because we're not seeing people face to face. It is really difficult. They didn't have a good answer. I would do what I do if I am doing a phone conversation, because phone isn't included in this. You can phone people because it's not electronic. You just can't store their data in your phone. That is electronic. Duh. Anyway, I would fill the information out for them if it's done over the phone, or if it's on a Zoom face-to-face. And then make sure that I have meticulously dated and put a timestamp on it when I have done that. If it's on Zoom, just show them it and say, is this okay? And then you can put proxy, and you know, you've got something to come back to. If they say, oh, you know, I'm getting these spam emails from so-and-so, and if anybody, I doubt if they will, but if anybody was to come to you and say, oh no, you've had a complaint because of this, then you can say, actually, I've got this bit of paper and they were in the room or on the phone at that particular time. And if necessary, it would never be necessary, but if necessary, there would be a phone log for that particular conversation. Okay, so it could be backtracked. I'm not saying it would ever be like that, but you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. But you should, at the end of the day, try and get them to do this. And technically, as soon as you can physically see them again, you should get them to redo it and sign it themselves. Technically. Okay.
Lucy, this is something I haven't been doing with my Zooms. I've just picked all this. It hadn't even occurred to me. Thanks for the brilliant question, Hazel. Sorry, Harriet. I'm just wondering whether actually what we could do is just have an email template where we're asking those questions and we ask them to return it to us having filled in, and we just say, you know, just so I've got my records up to date, it was great to have you on the Zoom. Do you mind if I ping you an email with clarification on what contact you're happy for me to have?
Yeah.
Because then all that's done outside of the Zoom, isn't it? I don't know about you guys, but on my Zooms, we're busy fiddling about with product and chatting and drinking wine. So it's quite nice to do these forms outside of that.
You could do it afterwards because it's about further on contact, really, the Zooms. Because you've had your Zoom. I don't know how you've managed to get hold of the people on the Zoom, because technically to get their email to send them a link, you should have had their permission to do that.
Well, and the same is true with WhatsApp groups, because actually it's still electronic. But I think what Lucy's doing here, guys, is she's telling you the absolute literal facts of things. And we all know that actually we've all unsubscribed from things that we still get emails for and all the rest of it. The whole thing has been a bit crazy, but don't let this be a panic to you. It's just, no. I guess for the level of tonight, it is about thinking, okay, for me to just be in the direction of getting myself organised, this is an area for me to think of. And I'm certainly picking up on things that I'm thinking, okay, I have added to my customer database virtually. Let's just get an email together. And what we can do is do a template of this form, can't we? It's just a case of typing it out once, and then you've got it as a copy to send on to people.
Yeah.
For those of you who are not in Lucy's downline, I have just checked my Facebook page for the file, and this form isn't in there at the moment. So
I'm sure I put it in there.
Yeah, but we need to. In my getting organised, clearly I need to have a bit of a declutter of the files that are in there. So we'll have a look at that and we'll get it addressed.
The other thing that we should be doing, Sean, by the way, is our Facebook groups. If somebody has actually left Neil's Yard, they need to come off the Facebook group. And the same with anything on MailChimp. If they physically left, gone past Elcon and actually left, we shouldn't have any contact. And in the phone as well, they need to come off our phones.
Okay.
Lots to do. You see, I'm only an 8 on this organised stuff, you know. I don't do it all myself. But I do this, and I do keep them safe and secure and everything else. So yes, this is all gold standard, and you're right, how it adapts to current life, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's about suck it and see, and do your best, quite honestly, because it is really difficult. Can I move on?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, so that's that gone. And the next one, didn't you like that? I got rid of those and got that one back. I was dead chuffed with myself for working that out. Okay, so we all have customer databases, don't we? And this is the area that I am really bad at. But if you don't have a customer database, how are you going to know who bought Wild Rose Beauty Balm from you to be able to tell them, assuming that they've given you permission to, that there's an offer in buy a Wild Rose Beauty Balm and you get a £5 shower oil? You end up plowing through piles of paper, don't you? And yes, I do. But then I know my customers and I kind of know who was there anyway. So it would be so much better to have an organised customer database in order to be able to find out this information, or a sparkle tracker so that you know which sparkles to contact when an offer or a new recruitment campaign comes through. And I have tried all sorts of systems and none of them really bed down well with me, I have to say. I have gone through the Excel spreadsheet, I've gone through paper, I've gone through index box files, I've tried colour coding, I've tried stickers, I've tried all sorts, and nothing works for me at the moment. But I'm keeping at it, and I will keep there, because people do swear on the Excel database. If you get it really good and working, you can filter it on products, and you can filter it on regions, and you can filter it on all sorts, and all this amazing information comes out at you to say, yes, these people have ordered Wild Rose Beauty Balm from you, and you go, oh, that's really nice, that saved me 10 minutes. I've got trawling through my paper files. So, you know, you use what you should use, but ideally you need something, and it needs to be secure as well, because you're dealing with customer details, and they need to be held securely. So whatever. I mean, to be honest, at the moment I've been resorting to notebooks and writing things down in a notebook. I do like my notebooks, so that's what I've been doing. And if anything, just an organised pile is better than nothing. So even if you've got a pile of customer contacts, even though it's not very COVID secure, put the pile in a locked drawer, you're fine. Then that's okay. But whatever method you find that works for you, again, stick with it, because you'll get history, and you'll get patterns, and it'll become habit, and it'll just become so much easier going forward. But start something, and just stick with it. Any questions on that? No?
Can I give a top tip? Because I
Yes.
annoy myself with this, and actually I'm annoying myself about it less and less. And that is that when you first have contact with somebody new in your business, put their details into your phone, all of their details that they've given you, straight away, because otherwise you get that number that comes up as a number, not a name, and then they give you their address to post a catalogue or whatever, and it stays in the messages and isn't in their contact. And then the next time you need to send them something, you have to trawl back through the messages to find their address again. And I've done it so many times, and it's just a small thing to get organised about, isn't it? It takes you 30 seconds to translate it from that initial contact. So worth doing. It saves you hours.
Good point. But when you've come off the phone from that person, just do ask them, is it okay if I record this on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right, moving on. Nearly there. 2 more points. Okay, so next one. Know where to find the answers. There is so much information with Neal's Yard. It is untrue. It's you've got to learn a different language for starters. All the systems, processes, products, prices, ingredients, PLU codes, campaigns, the lot. You cannot know it all. You just can't. What you need to do is to know where to find the answers to any questions that come up, and it makes life so much easier. So you do need to familiarise yourself with various websites. Here we go. So all downloads, all the webinars that we've got, the stock list is, how to find out information on your team or your upline. What's that? How to place a party order. Well, no, not how to place a party order. That is how to log a party on the party calendar. The FAQs. Have we all looked at the FAQs recently? There's tons of information in the FAQs. Usual questions about how do I know how long my delivery is going to take, or can I ship to X, Y, and Z? The answer's all there. Also on our replicated websites, anything to do with joining us or hosting a party or anything like that, or about us, it's all there. That's on the videos. The lovely Sian's there. That must be so old now, Sian.
Goodness. I think I was a regional leader, was I, when I did that?
Oh my gosh. But lots of videos that you can watch. You know, so much information. The YouTube channels and the Be Lovely's website, they're all there for you to use, and they've got tons of information in there. You just need to know where to look for it. Because, you know, please don't be lazy. And I say this with the kindest of hearts, but also a bit of tough love. But, you know, if somebody was to ask you, you know, is there bergamot in frankincense intense cream? I'd have to look it up. And that's using my time instead of you looking it up yourself. Okay, that's a simple ask. If you've got any questions about ingredients or how to use a product or anything about the products, go to your replicated website, click on shop, or just type it into the box frankincense intense, pull up the product and have a look. It's that easy. And then because you've done that, you'll learn it and remember it much, much better than if you're just told the answer. Okay, so please go and look these things up. And then finally, make the most of a get stuff done day. And what I mean is that, you know, very, very occasionally we get the urge to have a bit of a tidy up. It doesn't happen very often, it may be once a month, but the mood just strikes us and you think, yeah, I've got an hour to do some tidying up. Then definitely get on with it. Make the most of that power hour or clean up Friday or whatever it is. If you've got those organized piles dotted around the place, it's so much easier to pick up a pile because you know what's in there, you know what you've got to done, and you just sort through a pile. Even if you're in the mood just to do a pile, just do it. Put the music on. I do it to ABBA, I have to say. I put ABBA on. And I love it when it gets to money, 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 because I can sing along to that one. So I get ABBA out and I do a pile and I just file it away or upload the customer information into my database or whatever it is. I just do what that task needs to be done. And then I reward myself with a chocolate biscuit. Okay. And that's what it's all about, really. So they're my 10 top tips. We've gone through each one. I knew number 8, the records, would spark a lot of interest. And to be honest, you could do an hour on each if you wanted to, but I don't think Sean and I want to. And when I was trying to find a picture at the beginning, I found a picture that I thought sorts everything else. So I'm going to leave that up there for a little bit because as a mind map, and I know some people are mind mappers, I'm not, it's just brilliant because it basically goes through everything we've talked about, which I thought, wow, maybe I do know what I'm talking about.
That is amazing. Lucy, if you can send me that image, what we could do is put that in on the posts on our pages, on our Facebook team pages, where we put the recording for tonight.
Sure, will do.
It would be nice to have the visual of that, wouldn't it, guys? And just to check in. Lucy, thank you so much. That is amazing. Can you just go back to the top 10 list? I'm assuming everybody's the top tips list. Everyone's made a list of them. But what I'd love you to do, guys, is to put into the chat which number represents the action point you are going to put into place this week. So if, for instance, I don't know, it's a write everything down and it's about the list and the prioritizing that Lucy said, then you might put number 5, absolutely sort my list in the different sections of my life or something like that. So what specifically from that particular top tip are you going to go and do? Just put those into the chat. And when you've typed it, then it'd be really good just to read each other's as well. Leah's asking what you put in your recruitment pack. I think, Leah, that is one to pick up with you. I'm going to take that offline if that's okay, because I don't want to just tell you what is in the recruitment pack. It's kind of, you know, it's another conversation to be had about introducing other people and what information to give them. So I'll pick that up with you. Oh, loads of messages coming in. I'll message you later, Leah, in a minute when we've finished. Jenny, 8, get contact permission. Okay. You've put your numbers, guys, but you haven't told me what the actual particular task is that you're going to do from that number. So if you could just type those in, that'd be great. So I think one of the things about being organised is sometimes about the detail. It's like, what am I actually going to do this week? Make it measurable. Decide you're going to just get that bit sorted. Liz, get everything up to date is pretty not measurable for this week unless you've got nothing else to do for the rest of this week. Okay, writing everything down. Right, clean it up power hour. Love that, Shay, from number 6. Right, Heather, love it. Sorting out your priorities and then also getting your desk more tidy. That's good. And I was aware as Lucy was talking, not everybody's got a workspace to sit at as a desk, but take the principles of what Lucy was saying about being organised. You know, just even if those things are put in a drawer or a cupboard, because that's the section of your house that your business can take up at the moment, within that space have organisation. I think that's the key thing, so that when you pull it out, I can remember when I first started, it was the dining room table and I had I had a sort of crate that had everything in it. But when that came out onto the table, it became my desk, and everything I needed was in that crate. So it's sometimes just kind of thinking a bit more mobile than a desk, which is good. It's so amazing. I'm going to read through the chat after tonight. Really good, accurate, up-to-date records. Sort out social media. Okay, Donna, book a week off to do everything. And, you know, I was just thinking, for some of you, you might resonate with this. I do remember when I was an aspiring leader, I really hadn't got to grips with all of this. And please remember that actually your connection with people and you're selling a product is what grows your business. What Lucy has described here is the scaffolding that stops the whole lot from coming down like a pack of cards. So you can go a long way without having these structures in, but actually in terms of time efficiency and productivity, you're going to be better the more of these you keep, along with the rest of us, you keep practicing. I've got loads of action points out of tonight. But what I was going to tell you was, when I was an aspiring leader, I had a massive pile. It became like a bogeyman sitting on the corner of my desk. It was probably a good foot high of paperwork, and it was customer invoices, it was receipts for things, it was notes from training, it was an unbelievable pile. And because it was so insurmountable, I'm glad I'm starting this story. Rachel's saying that's exactly where I am now. I knew I wouldn't be the only one, Rachel. And do you know what I did? I took the duvet off the bed and I just sorted the pile into the individual piles. So if it was a customer order form, it went in that corner over there to customer order forms. If it was as a receipt, it became a pile of receipts. If it was training notes, it became a pile of training notes, because it's much easier to then take a pile of training notes and put it in a file. Not even in order, it was just, that is where my training notes are. If you then take your customer receipt, you think, right, that's June, that's August, that's June, that's May. It's much easier to break it down into the separate piles and then break those piles down again. And the biggest surface area I could think of was the bed. So there's my top tip. If you, like me, just thought, I need to start putting some of this scaffolding in, and these things don't come naturally to you, take the duvet off the bed and put some ABBA on and just eat the frog that is that pile of paperwork that's sitting on the corner of your desk.
But it's also eating the elephant. So it's about breaking it down into chunks and then breaking those chunks down. Because I've done exactly the same thing. I remember one year I was trying to do my tax form and I hadn't got anything organised, and it was all one big mess. And I did exactly that on the floor, just customer invoices. Oh, that's a team meeting thing that needs to be filed. The whole lot just put into piles and then dealt with each individual pile because it was a dedicated task. So yes, I've been there too.
Yeah, and so as Jenny says, we've got a week of eating frogs and elephants, which is
a lifetime of eating frogs.
Yeah. And hopefully you'll only eat one elephant. So I think, Rebecca, you said, I just don't know where to start. What I would say is start with a list of the things you need to do. Because if you've written it down, you can then pick which one you're going to start with. So again, break it down. The task of, I don't know where to start, is the elephant. So break it down into bite-sized chunks and just do one at a time. Reward yourself, like Lucy said. And the sense of achievement when you've done one will motivate you to go on and do the next. Yeah, absolutely brain dead and lots to work with. You're right. We're going to stop there. Thank you for joining us. And Lucy, thank you especially for sharing. There are lots of thank yous in the chat.
You're welcome.
And guys, remember, this is all a work in progress. Don't beat yourselves up. Just pick one thing that you're going to do differently this week. All right, sleep well, and look out for the recording, because no doubt you'll want to check back in a few months' time and see, has my number out of 10 in organisation gone up? I wonder what you'd score yourself. We're not going to do that now, but what I'd encourage you to do is to check in with yourself in a few weeks' time and think, has my number improved? Because I think if you put some of those tips into practice, you'll find they probably do. Okie doke. Stop the recording.